Hello viewers, welcome to our channel African Tales by AB. Please support us by giving this video a thumbs up, share, comment and subscribe. Thank you. Once upon a time, in a faraway land, nestled between rolling hills and dense forests, there was a village called Ravenwood. The villagers lived simple lives, tending to their fields and livestock. They worked from dawn to dusk, planting crops, rearing animals, and weaving fabrics. The village was peaceful, with children playing in the meadows and elders sharing stories by the fire at night. However, they were haunted by the presence of an old, decrepit woman who lived in the outskirts of the village, deep within the enchanted forests. Her name was Morgana, and she was known to all as the witch of the Ravenwood. Morgana's hut was hidden among twisted trees and honey bushes, a place where few dared to venture. The forest itself seems to warn intruders away, with shadows that moved and whispers that chilled the heart. The path to her dwelling was overgrown and barely visible, covered in the moss and ivy. Raven pierced on the branches, their eye following anyone who dared to approach. Morgana was not always a witch. Many years ago, she was a beautiful young woman, full of life and dreams. She lived with her family in the village and was loved by all. Morgana had a special gift for healing, using herbs and plants to cure illnesses and wounds. The villagers would come to her for remedies and advice, and she was always ready to help. However, her life took a dark turn when her family was struck by a mysterious illness. It started with a fever, then weakness, and soon they could not even rise from their beds. Desperate to save her parents, Morgana ventured into the forbidden forest in search of a legendary sorcerer known to possess great powers. The sorcerer, an ancient and twisted figure, agreed to help, but at a terrible price. Morgana had to give up her humanity and embrace the dark arts. In her desperation, she agreed. Her family was saved, but Morgana was forever changed. She became a vessel of dark magic. Her soul was a wind with demonic forces. Her once kind heart was now filled with bitterness and anger. As years passed, Morgana's appearance became more terrifying. Her skin was pale and wrinkled. Her hair turned into a tangled mess, and her eyes glowed with an unnatural light. Her voice, once soft and sweet, came an haunting whisper that chilled the bones of those who heard it. The villagers spoke with fears in their hearts about Morgana's power. Crop failed, livestock disappeared, and strange shadows moved through the village at night. Every misfortune was blamed on the witch. Children were warned to stay away from the forest, and adults avoided it at all costs. The villagers believed that Morgana's power was strongest during the full moon. On this night, they would lock their doors and windows, whispering prayers to keep the witch at bay. Yet, despite their precautions, misfortune often struck. A sick child, a lost animal, or a sudden storm. All were attributed to Morgana's dark magic. Villagers would gather in the town square, sharing stories of Morgana's dark deeds. They spoke of how she would summon storms with a wave of her hand, cause crops to wither with a mere stare, and make animals disappear into thin air. The villagers lived in constant fear, never knowing when or how Morgana would strike next. Morgana was not content with merely existing in the forest. She wanted to revenge on those who had stoned her. She cast spells that brought misery and sorrow to the village. Babies felt ill, young lovers torn apart by a sudden jealousy, and the village elder lost his eyesight overnight. One by one, villagers who ventured too close to her dwelling never returned, or if they did, they came back changed, their minds shattered. Speaking of horrors beyond comprehension, the tales of her deeds spread far and wide, and the name Morgana became a name that everyone was afraid of. One very dark night, a young girl named Lily went missing. She had been playing near the edge of the forest and had wandered too far. The villagers searched for her, but she was nowhere to be found. Days turned into weeks, and hope began to fade. Just when they were about to give up, Lily returned, but she was not the same. Her once bright eyes were now dull and vacant, and she spoke of strange, terrifying visions. The villagers were convinced that Morgana has taken her and done something terrible to her. Morgana's curses were cruel and precise. A farmer who had once mocked her lost his entire harvest overnight. A young couple who had spoken about her found themselves consumed in jealousy, tearing their love apart. The village elder who had led the charge to kill Morgana woke up blind, his world turning into darkness. Among the villagers was a young man named Elric. He was strong and brave, known for his kind heart and quick mind. Elric had heard the stories of Morgana all his life, but unlike others, he did not believe she was beyond redemption. He decided to confront Morgana not with violence, but with understanding and courage. Elric prepared himself for the journey. He gathered herbs known to ward off dark magic, a silver dagger passed down through generations, and a locket containing a picture of his beloved mother for strength. Elric knew that confronting Morgana would not be easy. He had heard tales of her dark past and the terrible things she had done, but he believed that there was still some good in her and could still be saved. He hoped that by showing her compassion and understanding, he could break the hold that the dark forces had over her. Elric spent weeks preparing for his joining. He sought advice from the village healer, who taught him about protective herbs and spells. He practiced with his silver dagger, honing his strength. He also visited the village elder, who told him stories of Morgana's past, hoping to understand the source of her pain and anger. Elric ventured into the enchanted forest, each step echoing with whispers of ancient spirits. The trees seemed to close in around him, their branches like twisted fingers. After about an hour, he reached Morgana's dwelling, a crooked hut surrounded by a cycle of ancient stones. Morgana appeared before him, her eyes burning with hatred. "Why have you come, you foolish boy?" she hissed. Elric stood his ground. "I've come to end the suffering, Morgana, not with hate but with understanding. I believe there is still some good in you." Morgana laughed in an harsh, bitter sound. "You know nothing of my pain and loss," Morgana cried out. Elric spoke of love, forgiveness, and the power of redemption. As he spoke, the forest seemed to hold its breath. Morgana's evil expression changed, her eyes flickering with a long-lost humanity. But the dark forces within her would not let go easily. They began to torment her and use her. Elric used the herbs to fend off Morgana's dark spells and the silver dagger to deflect her attacks. He spoke of hope and the possibility of a new beginning. Morgana's power worked. Finally, with a loud scream, the demonic force within her was expelled. The battle was intense and filled with danger. Morgana summoned dark spirits to attack Elric, but he used the protective herbs to fend them off. She tried to curse him with a terrible vision, but Elric's determination and the locket of his mother gave him strength. He used the silver dagger to break through her defenses, all the while speaking words of compassion and hope. Morgana collapsed, a once terrifying form, now a fragile and broken woman. Elric approached her slowly, offering his hands. He said, "It's over, Morgana. You are free." Tears streamed down her face as she took his hand. The forest around them seemed to sigh in relief. Morgana's heart crumbled and the cycle of stones disappeared. As Morgana stood, weak and broken, Elric saw a gleam of the woman she once was. "Why did you come, Elric?" she asked with a trembling voice. Elric smiled gently. "Because I believe everyone deserves a second chance, Morgana, even you." Morgana nodded, her eyes filled with gratitude and regret. "I never wanted to become the monster. Thank you so much, Elric, for giving me a chance to change." Elric helped Morgana to her feet and then slowly made their way to the village. The forest, once dark and menacing, seemed to brighten with each step they took. The villagers watched in awe as Elric and Morgana emerged from the forest together, a symbol of hope and redemption. The village of Ravenwood slowly healed from the years of fear and suffering. Morgana, now freed from the dark forces, lived quietly in the village, helping those she had once harmed. She spent her days tending to the sick and teaching the villagers about the dangers of dark arts. Elric became a hero, not for slaying a witch, but for saving a soul. The story of his bravery and compassion was told for generations, a reminder that even in the darkest places, there is always hope and redemption. Morgana's transformation was not easy. The villagers were wary of her at first, but Elric stood by her side, forcing a change of heart. Slowly, she won their trust. She used a knowledge of herbs and healing to help those in need. She became a symbol of redemption.